There's a moment most men never notice. Not because it's loud, not because it looks dramatic, but because it feels quiet. It's the day you stop reacting. No argument, no speech, no mic drop exit. Just a pause where something inside you decides, I'm not playing this game anymore. And that's the day power changes hands. Most men think power is about dominance, about having the last word, about winning the argument, about being seen, heard, validated. But that's not power. That's dependence. Because the moment your emotional state depends on someone else's behavior, their tone, their silence, their approval, you've already handed them the steering wheel. Reacting feels natural. She pulls away, you chase. She criticizes, you defend. She tests, you explain. She goes cold, you panic. And every reaction sends the same message, even if you never say it out loud. You control me. Most men don't realize this because reacting feels like strength. It feels active. It feels masculine. But reactions are predictable. And anything predictable can be controlled. Here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't lose respect when you speak your mind. They lose respect when you speak from emotional urgency. Urgency says, I need this outcome. Calm says, I'll be fine either way. And the world responds differently to calm. Think about the man in the room who barely talks. But when he does, people listen. It's not his volume. It's not his vocabulary. It's his lack of reactivity. He doesn't rush to defend himself. He doesn't jump to correct every misunderstanding. He doesn't explain his worth. He lets silence do the work. Because silence forces the other person to sit with themselves. When you stop reacting, you interrupt the pattern. And humans are deeply uncomfortable when patterns break. She expects you to get defensive. You don't. She expects you to chase. You don't. She expects an emotional spike. You stay level. And suddenly, she's the one adjusting. This is where power quietly shifts. Not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you've removed yourself from the emotional tug of war. Most conflicts survive on reactions. No reaction, no fuel. And here's what nobody tells men. Your reaction is often the reward. Drama continues because it gets a response. Disrespect repeats because it's tolerated emotionally, not logically. When you stop reacting, you send a message stronger than any boundary speech. This doesn't move me. That doesn't mean you become passive. It means you become deliberate. You still speak. You still act. But you respond, not react. A reaction is quick, emotional, and automatic. A response is calm, steady, and intentional. And intentional behavior carries strength. The day you stop reacting, you also stop over-explaining. You stop sending long messages to someone who has already chosen not to listen. You stop proving yourself to people who keep pushing boundaries. You stop bargaining for basic respect. You realize something important in a healthy way. Not everything deserves your mental space. Most men aren't tired because life is difficult, but because they stay emotionally engaged with everything around them. Every message, every change in tone, every small misunderstanding. React, react, react. That's not resilience. That's exhaustion. A man who doesn't react isn't distant. He's composed. And emotional composure is one of the most overlooked masculine strengths, because when you manage yourself well, you're no longer easily thrown off balance. You don't need to win every moment. You don't need to correct every story. You don't need to chase every closing door. You allow people to show who they are. And that alone shifts the dynamic. When you stop reacting, clarity arrives faster. Because people can't rely on your emotions to blur their intentions. Some will push harder, expecting a response. Others will step back, unsure how to proceed. Both reactions give you clarity. And here's where everything truly changes. The moment you stop reacting, you begin choosing. Choosing where to focus. Choosing what deserves your time. Choosing who has access to you. And choice is real strength. Not loud strength. Not forceful strength. Quiet, steady strength. The kind that doesn't need attention. The kind that doesn't ask for approval. you become harder to influence, harder to provoke, harder to shake. Not because you're detached, but because you're grounded. This is why emotionally disciplined men are uncommon. Because discipline is harder than expression. Anyone can react. Very few can pause. And inside that pause, everything shifts. Your words matter more. Your presence feels steady. Your absence is noticed. You stop trying to control situations and start guiding yourself. And ironically, that's when situations improve. Respect grows. Connection deepens. Tension thaws. Not because you demanded it, but because you stopped chasing it. So if you're waiting for life to feel different, for relationships to feel lighter, for that sense of control to return, it won't come from saying more. It comes the day you say less. The day you don't take the bait. The day you let silence speak. The day you stop reacting. That's the day power changes hands. And this time, it stays with you.